Just a few things about myself. I'm the training officer on board. I've been on board Farragut for about 3 years. I commissioned through the Naval Reserve Officer Training Corps at the University of Oklahoma, and I'm also my designate. I'm a surface warfare officer, so I know I'm a professional mariner. I know how to drive the ship and tactically fight. So that's kind of my warfare designator pin means.
I am Ensign Major Ricky. I've been on board for about 2 years. I'm the ship's aviation officer. So while I don't fly helos, I work with helicopters. So below you right here is our helicopter hangars. We keep 2 helos on board. And my job is basically being the liaison between the air department and the ship. I graduated from the Naval Academy in 2017. Got to the ship here in August of 2017 as well. So I will be leaving in a month and a half to go to nuclear power school. So I'm a nuclear surface warfare officer. So I'm also a surface warfare officer. So you're on board USS Farragut. It's an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer. Our namesake was Admiral Farragut. He was Navy's very first admiral. He's admiral during Civil War times. There have been 5 ships named after Admiral Farragut. We are the 5th, and we are a Flight 2 Alpha destroyer. So I had someone ask me about the last ship that we've seen in that TV show. It's the exact same destroyer that you see in the TV show, The Last Ship. You can watch that. We're sailing around.
Super accurate.
Yeah, it's a good TV show.
It's awesome.
It is TV though.
It is TV.
It is TV.
So that's a little bit about our ship. I'll pass it off to Chief Jennings right here and he can tell you.
Hey, how you doing? So I'm Chief Jennings. I'm the warfare lead for our visit board search and seizure team. Looks like we're gonna get a little Blue Angels introduction. So what we do is you're gonna see lots of really cool systems on the ship that allow us to engage in higher level warfare, air warfare, strike missions, USW, undersea warfare. Lots of systems that are designed to do that. What we do though is we're a small team of about 14 personnel that all have regular jobs. We all work in engineering, combat systems, navigation, different roles throughout the ship. We're also specially trained to be able to go over to merchant vessels, board them, and ensure that they're in compliance with international law, restrictions. We're putting an embargo in place. We can do counter-piracy missions, counter-narcotics, as well as counter-weapons of mass destruction, smuggling, stuff like that. The basic gist of it is, as you came up today, you probably saw we have 2 7-meter original hull inflatable boats here on starboard side. We put on all our gear, we get in those boats, we pull up alongside the ship, extend this really long pole with a hook on the end and this tiny little ladder. We would clip it on the side of the ship, and then we would climb up that tiny little ladder and get on board. And then we go to the various areas where we take control of their propulsion and their navigation systems. We like to be safe when we do this, so we get lots of cool Gucci gear to do it. So this is our basic tactical vest. It weighs about 45 pounds. You want to try it, buddy? Want to hold it? It's kind of heavy. You imagine having to wear that all day? Yeah, and then climb up that tiny little ladder. So it provides us ballistic protection as well as a little bit of flotation so we don't sink to the bottom with all our gear on if we were to happen to go overboard. We're also fully armed when we go over, so as Pastor Rogers has here, that's our standard issue M4 rifle. It's got some Gucci attachments that make us more effective. We also carry service pistols. Now, most of the time, the maritime community appreciates us being out there, and they stop when we say stop, and they invite us over to come check, but not all the time. And so when they don't, we have ways to force open doors, hatches, scuttles, cargo areas that they might conceal. We also have fiber optic cameras, so rather than having to destroy big sections to be able to get in like a person, we can bore a half-inch hole and put in a fiber optic camera to check their cargo. A lot of drugs out there, right? So we got the capability to identify different types of narcotics, kind of do everything. WMD is one of our newer kind of important mission sets. So we carry radiation monitors. These will go off when we're near anything nuclear. And then using this device, we can actually identify the isotope and determine whether it's weapons grade, medical grade, might be on someone's prohibited cargo list. We also interdict terrorist use of the seas, and so it's hard to sometimes figure out who they are. So this super cool device right here is called our Seek device. It'll run off biometrics, so we can take fingerprints, iris scans, as well as facial recognition. Beam it back over an antenna to our ship. They can check it against the database off ship, and then tell us if we're dealing with someone who might be a terrorist. So after they roll up like an IED production facility, they'll take fingerprints, load them in the database, and we might be able to interdict them operating or transiting through the sea routes by identifying them using this little guy here. Containerized inspection, so bringing a ship into port, offloading all of its cargo so that you can search it is a time-consuming and expensive proposition. So we actually have the equipment that we're capable of, while at sea still, climb up to the top of those containers, rig a rappel system, go down, open up those containers at sea, go in, search them, seal them back up, and then as long as there's nothing prohibited, let them go about their way. That's basically what we do in a nutshell. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
Scariest thing that's happened in your experience?
Like ever?
Yeah.
Professionally?
Yeah.
Well, hanging off the side of that ship at night with good seas, pitch black with night vision equipment on and stuff like that, it gets your heart rate going. I've done some non-compliant operations way back in the day when we were still, before we went back into Iraq. We were doing embargo enforcement and did some pretty cool stuff up there in the northern Arabian Gulf. But yeah, lots more off-duty than on.
Any buses like
I've interdicted a lot of cot, doing operations in the Red Sea. It's a really common thing in Eritrea, Sudan, Somalia, a lot of the crew, Yemen. Chewit, it's got an amphetamine base in it, and we usually just line them up and then throw it over the side and then go, all right, later, and run away before they get really pissed and do their drugs over. But it is a prohibited substance, so yeah, a lot of drugs. This ship actually had one of the larger weapons busts in the Indian Ocean, Northern Indian Ocean. They stopped a dhow that was smuggling tons and tons of explosives, RPGs, things like that in 2015, so done a lot. Well, enjoy your tour here. These two fine officers are going to make sure that you get well educated. We thank you guys for coming and your support of us, and enjoy your time on Farragut today.
Yeah. So a little bit more about this Chaff missile deck. So this is called the Chaff missile deck. For all we have the missile launchers are right here. These are what the missiles come out of. So these cells will pop open and a missile will pop out. So we have everything from Tomahawk missiles like we were firing to Syria past year. Those are ship-to-land missiles. We have air-to-air missiles, or strip-to-air missiles that take down other missiles coming at us, other aircraft, helicopters, stuff like that. We also have ship-to-subsurface, so we can just put a torpedo in there, drop it on a rocket, fire it off, and it'll go in the water and chase submarines, chase the ships. Right here, these two tubes, these you see, those are also torpedo tubes. So we'll put a torpedo in there, and we'll take a little puff of air, we'll blow the torpedo out, it'll get in the water and start swimming around. And then right here, this big bad boy is pretty fun. It's our close-in weapon system. We call it CIWS. So what it is, it's a fully automated gun, and that whole top part of RCD2, that's all just a radar. So what it does is, anything, this one right here.
Yeah.
So anything coming at us, it's our line of last defense. So this gun shoots 4,500 rounds a minute. We're talking about 400 rounds a second. This thing's putting down range. So we got missile inbound, we got a ship inbound. What it's going to do is just going to spray the area. It's going to spray in a circle. 4,500 rounds in 1 minute. So the pit's going to create a wall of lead. So anything that goes through that wall of lead is going to get torn to shreds.
What size rounds?
So they're a little, I think it's like a 22 millimeters, not 25. It's right below 25.
Oh, okay, they're small.
They're small, but
not like a 50 caliber.
Yeah, when you got 45,000 of those, 4,500 of those coming out,
yeah,
they're gonna
get the point across.
So it's gonna get the point across pretty quickly. So this thing, we'll use that for anything up to about 3 nautical miles. Well, anything within 3 nautical miles, we can take that out. So our missiles, how it works is we only use our missiles first. So anything that we know coming, we're gonna put a missile on it. Hopefully that takes it out. That doesn't work, we're gonna go to our 5-inch gun. That's up forward. You'll see that's our big gun. And then last resort, we're gonna go to the CIWS. It's all fully automated, so you can see the camera right there. It tracks and fires all by itself. All we gotta do is tell it to run. We'll arm it, say you're good to go, you put the fire, and it will shoot. It'll track and shoot all by itself. They're gonna rely on the destroyers, or they're gonna rely on the
So like for us, so destroyers and cruisers. So the Way City, who's kind of forward us, they're
can't see them right now.
They are a guided missile cruiser. We both have the Aegis weapon system, so we're designed for anti-air missile defense, and they also have the vertical launching system with missiles. So like we have like the huge firepower missile capability.
Hey everybody, my name is Ensign Nate D'Amico. I'm the auxiliaries officer on board here. I work in the engineering department. I'm up here right now as the Anti-Terrorism Tactical Watch Officer. It's a very long title. What that means is that I'm here to coordinate if there's some sort of event or incident. I'm here to coordinate the defense of the ship. So as you came on board here today, I'm sure you saw a lot of the security apparatus we have. You know, we got folks at the gate, right on the quarterdeck where you came on the ship. We have a sentry roving around on the top side. We have security boats out in the marina here. So basically my job would be if there was any kind of attack or incident, I'm coordinating with the 7 radios you see behind me, talking to like a bunch of different people, coordinating any defense of the ship that would be necessary if there was some sort of attack, you know, a shooter or a small boat coming towards us or anything like that. So that's what I'm doing here right now. We are on the bridge, obviously called the pilot house or the bridge. This is where everything happens. This is where the ship is run from when we're underway. We have several different watchstanders who are in charge of various aspects. The most important one is the officer of the deck. They are the captain's representative up here, so the captain's given them that responsibility and authority to be controlling the ship when we're underway. So they're driving us, they're doing any operations that we may be engaged in, flight operations, landing helicopters, driving in formation with other ships, doing a refueling evolution with one of our supply ships, where we hook up alongside them and take gas and stores. So the OD is, the captain will be up here at different times, especially depending on what operations we're doing, but at the end of the day, when we're underway, the officer of the deck is the one making those decisions. There's also a junior officer of the deck who's learning the ropes and backing up the OD, learning to take over so they can take that qualification themselves. We have a conning officer who's the most junior officer who's going to be up here, who is speaking to the helmsman, who's actually physically steering. So that's one of our first enlisted sailors that's up here on the watch. The helmsman is going to be at what's called the ship's control console, this big setup back here, and they're going to be physically driving the ship. You got a steering wheel, pretty self-explanatory, and then the levers on the right side there are the gas pedal controlling our speed, the propulsion from our engineering plane. Our ship can go pretty fast, so they're building some smaller ships that can go fast now, but for a full-size kind of traditional warship, we're one of the fastest that's out there. We can go over 30 knots, which comes up to almost 40 miles per hour on land. So we can move pretty fast. We can stop and we go from 0 knots to full speed in about 45 to 50 seconds. We can go from 30 plus knots forward to 15 in reverse in about another 25 to 30. So the way that the ship's designed with our steering gear and the propulsion, our shafts and screws, it's a very, very maneuverable ship.
overseeing the VLS launcher back aft. Well, we also have one here forward. You can also see the deck house and the pilot house where we just were. Those two like kind of big panels right there. Those are our spy array, part of our spy radar, which is a 3D air search radar. It's part of our overall Aegis weapon system. So one of our biggest mission areas is anti-air missile defense. So that radar is a huge part of us being able to launch our standard missiles and be able to protect an aircraft carrier, other ships, or ourselves. You'll also see the numbers kind of 3 and 4. Those are our forward refueling stations. So underway, we're out to sea. A lot of times we'll get fuel and food from a supply ship or an oiler, and they will refuel us, and we'll get fuel from them. And then also where we were earlier in the midships area, we had these big long king posts. That's how we'll connect with the other oiler, and we'll get pallets of food and pallets of mail sent. So that's how we, if we can't pull into port to get fuel or food, we'll pull in to do that.
So it's possible to go out to sea and not to pull in port for months at a time because we're everything we need from other ships. They exit to them and they get us. So 5-inch, give you more information about it. So this 5-inch shoots about 13 rounds a minute. It can shoot 13 nautical miles. So if you look out, look at the horizon, you can go about 3 nautical miles past the horizon. You can see. So you're not really going to see what you're shooting at technically. It can hit us though. So we use the 5-inch for everything from ship-to-ship warfare, from ship-to-air. So we have a missile coming inbound or other aircraft we can put in, which basically just looks like birdshot. It goes out and fires pellets and destroys those out there. Or also we do, big thing they're used for is naval service for fire support. So Marines will call in for fire support. We'll throw some rounds at the beach, clear up the beach for the Marines. They can do their landings or whatever the Marines need. So we do a lot of that help with the Marines. Behind me, see the anchors. We have 2 anchors on board. We have our centerline anchor, and then we have an anchor on our port side. The centerline anchor weighs 12,000 pounds. The other anchor weighs 8,000 pounds. A little fun fact for you though, the anchor itself is not what keeps the ship anchored technically. So people think it's like you drop the anchor that holds you there. It's not what it does. So it's actually the anchor chain itself. So we have the anchor chain attached to the anchor. That's what's keeping the ship from not moving. It's the weight of the anchor chain that we lay out that's keeping us in place. As of right now, we don't have anything down to our board using mooring lines. You see the giant lines, that's what we're using to stand up here. But if we were to go out to the ocean and lay our anchor, it would be the chain itself and the anchor holding us in place. And then a little more on a spy array, so it's called the Aegis system. Aegis was, a little fun fact for you, was Zeus's shield. So Zeus, he named his shield Aegis. So that is our shield. That's a shield of the military right there. Anything that's in the air within 200 miles, we're going to see it flying around, basically. If it's in the air and it's within 200 miles, we can see it. And we can link with other ships and increase that picture to even further if they're further away from us. So we use this, all the NATO allies, they have this technology, we've shared it all with them. Israel's Iron Dome defense is all Aegis based. England, Portsmouth, England, when we pulled into Portsmouth, they have a giant Aegis center right there on top of one of their hills right there. So it's a NATO shared system of how we do basically three-dimensional air defense.
You also see the Arctic service ribbon, so that's what we just got back on our last deployment.
That's the pretty blue one.
That's also why our bullnose is blue, because we crossed the Arctic Circle. That's a pretty rare ribbon to have in the Navy right now.
So it's, like she said, it's very rare. So submariners, they tend to get that there under the water, hiding under the ice caps, doing all this stuff in the Arctic. Whereas for Navy surface ships, we don't really go to the Arctic much. So since 1980, since the Cold War, basically, the Navy hasn't operated up in the Arctic. And our last deployment was almost exclusively the high North Atlantic and the Arctic Circle. So the ribbon, you have to get that by spending, it's right here. If you spend over 28 days above the Arctic Circle, you qualify for the ribbon. So it's very rare for ships to get that because most ships aren't going up to the Arctic. But we're kind of shifting a little paradigm shift to not so much as Middle East, we're more moving towards Eastern Europe and, Western Europe and the high North, high Arctic, that area, Baltic area as well. Since the Cold War in 1985, we have spent more time up above the Arctic Circle on deployment than any ship in the entire Navy. So we spend more time than all the ships in the entire Navy, all 300 ships that we have, 300 plus, we have more time above the circle than any other ship right now. The Arctic Circle itself isn't as frozen as as people think it is. A lot of water up in the ocean. And so, but when we were there, we didn't see the sunset. We went like what, 38 days without seeing the sunset.
So this is for spending 28 days or more in the Arctic Circle. There is, the reason why our bull nose is painted blue is because we are blue noses because we cross the Arctic Circle. So have you ever heard of like the crossing the line ceremony when you cross the equator? Well, there is also a naval tradition of doing crossing the Arctic Circle. So there is a big ceremony for that.
Involves a lot of water,
Yes.
a lot of cold and shivering.
Yes, very cool.
So, if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can see more awesome videos like this. Okay, where are we heading off to next?